welcome, CD fans. I hope you've all warmed up and you all melted back to your normal self after this amazing season opener, I will call it. I'm Musa with Mo Football, and I have also my good friend Charlie, the stat guy,
How's it
and
going?
Oscar, the capo. I guess we might have
I
to
guess
find
so.
something more creative, but Charlie, Oscar, how you guys doing? And let's kick it off, Charlie. How you feeling after the home opener?
Well, I just got to say it's great to be back in the stadium in Energizer Park. I mean, it's great. I mean, I think as a media member, I get a different sense. Sometimes I feel detached from the fans. Like last season, I wasn't more involved with the fans. But going to the block party, meeting a bunch of the people that I've met online the past couple days, the past couple events leading up to the home opener was really amazing. And the energy was unmatched. The light show was amazing. Matt Seebeck did keep his promise that it was going to be cool. Um, it was amazing. I know it was very cold. It was frigid. I had to warm up in the little indoor press area at halftime. Grabbed some dinner in there. It was really pretty nice. But I mean, it is amazing to see City SC football or soccer, whatever you call it, back on the pitch in St. Louis. I mean, it was amazing. Definitely not the result you hope for with 1 point instead of three, but 1 point's better than zero when you're going up against a team like Colorado who you struggled against last year.
Yes, awesome. So pretty much for you were on the the reporter side. So like you said, a little bit detached, but you were on the plaza, and we
Yeah.
got to hang out, and you saw a lot of people. But
Yeah.
and I, so it's the nice things that we have on our group here is that there's almost three kinds of experience. So, but with Oscar, it's the one that's I think is probably the most talked about in St. Louis. Even even more than what's on the field, it's what the supporter section has and what Esther Santo, Fleur de Noise, all of these guys that are doing the amazing thing. So, Oscar, on your side, we know you started very early. For you guys that organize those things, it
Yeah.
almost starts at like 11 a.m. or so. So, can you tell us a little bit more about, how you started first in the morning, knowing that you have to prepare for it, which then led
Yeah.
you to the march, and then after that it was the whole 90 plus minute of chanting and supporting team. Can you tell us a little bit more about
Yeah.
your
I
opener?
mean, my back's still sore. I'm feeling the struggles the first game aftermath. But yeah, I start probably around 11, getting ready to go to the stadium, get the last minute preps for our group and things like that. But we only made it out to the stadium around 3 for our tailgate party, our Fiesta Football. Pepper, we start setting up things, and then I'm part of the load in for the group as well. So bringing the flags in and things like that at 4. Uh, about like 30 to 40 minutes to set up those things in, and then out to go back to the party to get things going as well with the other members, the other groups. They obviously do their great parties in all the different areas, and it's hard work, but at the same time, like I enjoy it. I have so much fun, like putting everything and knowing that it means a lot for 22, maybe 23,000 people that they're gonna enjoy those things. So it's fun to be part of that. So
Yes, and we always want to highlight those of you because the supporter sections, the groups that spend a lot of hours doing the work, get some of the credit. So it's always good to hear from those directly involved. So, and I did see that Esther Santos had a party bus.
so
Can you tell us about
I'm
that?
not here really to promote that much of what Santos that, but
Oh
yeah,
yes,
it
yes,
was fantastic.
that was
It was something not abnormal, and
okay.
we had so much fun. We had people having so much fun as well. We had great comments and people enjoying it, seeing it around. People were hesitant at the beginning a little bit, like seeing the bus, and it was like, "What's happening?" But it was a good party. It's a good moment for everybody to enjoy. It was free for anybody who feel brave enough to do it, and and had that time of enjoyment. And yeah, it was something different, and we'll probably do it again sometime. Not promising the next game, but I mean, sometime we'll probably do it again.
Awesome. So yeah, so that was pretty much the the section of the fan experience and all that. So I was in there. So we did mention Matt Seebeck and the creative team experience. So that was the light show. I pretty much brought it up to the top level, which probably all surprised us. So I guess shout out to City for that experience where it's everybody has something to remember
Yeah,
on that part.
yeah, definitely. I encountered this Sunday. I encountered Diego, president of St. Louis City, in an event, and he was very proud of the light show. I think, and for me, it was spectacular. Like it was something that it was kind of like breathtaking. Uh, I couldn't really say more when it was happening. I was just kind of like watching and admiring what was happening, and
It
at the
was like
same
a
time
concert.
getting ready to get my flag up. But
Yes. So yeah, so for those of you that have not made it or still hesitant about going to the games, that experience alone is something that you want to make it memorable. So they definitely have nailed the the home opener experience.
yeah,
So yeah, so that's the part where I guess we kind of gush about our own team. So then after that, now that kind of leads us to what we have on the field. So the first that we can talk about is let's talk about the lineup first.
Yeah.
Who
If I
had
can jump in,
that on there?
the lineup posted on Saturday night included this: Roman Berkey in goal, Giannis Horn at the left back position, Kyle Hebert at center back, Kessler at center back, Totland at the right wing back position, and then you had Leuven, Yarrow, and Akil Watts at the midfield, and finally Marcel Hartel and Simon Betcher and Shuel Klaus at the top three, running a 4-3-3.
no,
As
it was more a 3-5. It
that's
was
fair.
a 3-4. It was like a 3-4-1-2.
Yeah, it was odd, but Simon Betcher and Klaus were more the two main strikers this game. He had wingers within. Toyshirt coming on late in the game in the 81st minute, and of course starting is Hartel and Leuven. But yeah, I mean, not what people expected out of this lineup. Of course, you have Joachim Nilsson going down with an injury in the closed scrimmage versus San Jose, right before the season, their last preseason game. They took a loss 2-1 in that game. No Timu Baumgartel to start this game, which was kind of surprising for some. He was available to sub in. He did not. Toyshirt still recovering from a little bit of soreness and also the lack of training because he's been in Germany getting his green card to play as a non-international player. And then on the bench, you had Benjamin Lunt as the backup goalkeeper, Joseph Zielinski, the draft pick for St. Louis City, Christopher Durkin, who again is not 100% per the team, and you have Tomas Ostrak and Celio Pompeu, both of those guys not seeing the field come Saturday night. What do you guys think of that?
I'll have Oscar go first.
I mean, it was definitely something shocking when I see every single player on the field. Like, shocked and, to be honest, like happy that they're getting those opportunities for Jaro and Hebert. I would have not expecting that they would be the stars of the home opener. I had other pieces in there as well, but those were very shocking. But happy for them, definitely. And then the obviously the attack, we knew we were gonna be diminished a little bit with Toysher being in trouble and things like that. Clouders and Betcher, that I'm not convinced that they can work together, even when they're that good of a friends. But it's just like I feel like they're similar players in a lot of aspects that they seem to not be connecting the way that it would be better for the team. So I was not putting them as an starting. I thought it was just gonna be I don't know, like Rasmus Alm or Wallem or any other piece, even like Celio. But decided to go with the double forward, and I mean we created some stuff. Like I mean we play well, but it's not that we created an amount, like an exaggerated amount of opportunities, and
Yeah.
they were all need to be goals. No, we didn't do that. And I guess like you were kind of like asking what you think about Ostrak or Celio not seeing minutes.
Mhm.
I mean, that gets me a little bit of the right of what I said the last time I was on. Kind of like, I mean, this first game, so we're not going to take it that long, but um, I said that I don't think Sully is going to see that many minutes. And this was a little bit of a proof of that. He might not be fully fit, or even that he says he's fired up and ready to go. But we were 0-0 and we only used 3 subs. We didn't use all 5, and he stayed without any minutes. So it's something to really think ahead of the next games and see if it actually is going to continue to happen where he's not going to see minutes, or he's definitely preferring someone else, like he preferred when Teucher ahead when he was just one day back from his trip.
Yeah.
Wallem just joined the team and he got minutes. And Alfredo, that we are very happy to have him as a Latino community, that he has some heritage there. Took minutes away from other people like Chris Durkin and obviously are not part of the team anymore. Mr. Vasilev, that's one of the reasons he's out, is because Alfredo is in. So it's very interesting what he did. So
yeah, if I could speak on that. So in the first post-game presser for Olaf Melberg,
so I think so. Probably think for what I was thinking for those two, especially, is that I think probably the cold weather for like those guys that were pretty much injured, Celio and all that. I thought maybe not seeing them play, it's probably to kind of save them from their, the cold. And when you have something broken, you bring it back. That probably will cause it. And if you have guys that are kind of ready to roll. And I think the one thing that I saw as well is that since they were not, the original starter that we thought may play, it kind of gave the guys that were kind of on the bench last year the opportunity to kind of prove themselves that they can be called upon when the original starters will be. So now you just gave your coach a huge headache now, because now you saw that, your back 3 that sometime we were 5 just had a shot out. So now the other guys will have to prove themselves to step up. So now we have number 1 and number 2 as possible starters.
Yeah.
So that kind of help us for Nick compared to last year where we enjoyed our first starter and then we were depleted altogether.
Yes.
So I kind of like that rotation. I was a little surprised when I saw the starting 11, but right at the end of the game, I was like, well, we know Durkin is already a go. Cass is already, solidified as starters. Now Josh and Hilbert just showed us now that they can also do what the current coach is asking for. So, so the depth wise now, I'm feeling a bit better.
A lot of depth on the squad. Great. If we look at one guy you mentioned, Oscar, was Simon Betcher, and we saw him going everywhere. He was everywhere on the field, but putting balls into the back of the net. Simon Betcher, some of his stats, he had expected goals of 1.17. That is more than 50% of City SC's total expected goals. So Simon Betcher being subbed out in the 81st minute for Cedric Teucher played an absolutely amazing game. This kid's got heart. This kid's got drive. He has an ability to finish. If you saw on the goal that was called back from offsides when Henry Kessler jumped early on the set piece from Edward Leuven that went off the woodwork, he found a little crevice in the defense. He found a pocket where he wasn't covered, and he waited for a pass. He got it, and if it wasn't called back, that would have been the game-winning goal. So I think Simon is one of those guys where he's so versatile, he has so much heart that he almost wills his way into games. He may not have the best, he may not be the fastest player in the world. he may not be the have the strongest leg in the world. He may not have the smartest soccer IQ in the world, but damn is he close to some of those because Simon Betcher's a heck of a player. And, Olaf Melberg, we talked about injuries and stuff like that and the cold weather preventing some of these guys from playing. Olaf Melberg in his first presser back, I asked him, me and I think Justin Horniker asked him about the availability of guys like Rasmus Alm and Joachim Nilsson, both of them reportedly injured in that preseason game versus San Jose. So that's the reason we see no Alm on the bench, no Nilsson on the bench. And I think the lack of subs from these guys, when you see, I would say this, because Timo Baumgartel has not really played a professional game that's non-preseason in at least 9 months since being released from his last squad. So it's fair to say we're going to sit him, wait until he can develop more within the system. Chris Durkin, again, is partially injured coming into this game. He's available if you really need him. Celia Pompeu coming back from that horrific injury. Thomas Ostrock coming back from a season-ending foot injury, of course. Zielinski being the new guy you signed a day before the game. And you put in Morales in the 69th minute, who played a great game. Frankly, his passing was amazing. He was 23 for 25. He had a 0.227 expected assists in less than half the game. So I think he did much better than people thought. And I think we see a little bit of caution from Melberg early in the season to make sure some of these guys don't get long-lasting injuries.
Yep.
So you got to be careful now.
He wants box-to-box players. So
yeah,
you pretty much have to be like 90-95% ready to do that.
Yeah.
If not, he will get someone else to do that work. So that's what I kind of enjoy from what I've seen.
And now, like be careful with mentioning that Durkin could be like the player to be watched this season. And I know Charlie loved and made a big note about it, but I think like Alfredo is gonna be a tough guy to get out of there because, like you said, his passing. Compare the passing of Durkin last year to what Alfredo just did on his debut. Like, he missed 2 passes. He was organized. He was settled on the 6th position. That's what a player that with experience does, and it's something that you need on that 6th position. So Durkin's I think he's gonna struggle now to find a spot out of there. Let's not say Watts did a great job, and obviously Lewin, but I think if you ask me right now after seeing this game, I would say Alfredo has put it ahead of Watts, Durkin for that extra position. And let's not talk about Ostrak, that sometimes he was playing in that position as well.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm looking at the squad right now, something we saw in preseason was having a 3 center back line that could consist of Hebert, Kessler, and Horn, while having Totland where Watts was in Saturday night's game. I think that's a viable option. Josh Yarrow could be a guy that is a transitional piece. I know he played very well on Saturday night, but I don't see continued time from him and continued coach trust compared to these guys. Nothing against his skill level. I think he's an amazing player at the level, if not higher than some of these guys on the team. But I don't know if he fits into that kind of system as well as a guy like Chris Durkin. And then if you look at, you have that extra spot from the 3, right? If you, instead of 4 in the back line, you have 3. So now you can have an extra midfielder, or you could run 2 at the top and have, kind of wingers like Hartel and Toyshirt while having Betcher and Klaus as the top 2. I think Durkin fits in there. And like you said, Morales played very well with the passing. But looking at his defensive stats, Morales is more of an offensive midfielder, in my opinion. He had not many duels won. He didn't have any tackles. He didn't play any defense, which is fair because he didn't have to, right? This back line was amazing. 0 shots on goal, 2 shots attempted. There's basically 0 expected goals. Basically 0.0 expected goals for Colorado, close to 0.02, I think. It's crazy. But, I mean, they shut this Colorado offense down. And I think if they could continue to do that and Durkin doesn't have to be used, that's a great thing. But I think honestly, against teams like coming up like San Diego and LA, I don't think you're going to have 2 shots and none of them be on goal. I think you're going to have more pressure. And I think that's where a guy like Chris Durkin, who's a more physically enduring midfielder, comes in handy. With a guy like Morales, you can put in if you need a goal because he's more offensively centered with his passing. I think that's a really good option for Olaf there.
So what do you think about Durkin's speed? Because I think one thing I saw last year that we kind of struggled with was on the flanks when we have strikers that were, paint steel, like, that were extra fast. We didn't have players that were able to kind of keep up with him, and there was only one person that kind of shut him down. I think that was Yarrow and I forgot his name.
Reed.
He's no longer with us, but so I think it looks like almost changed. Yes, it almost kind of changed to like a back 5 at time. If you saw, It was the original 3, but then the guys on the left and the right were kind of coming back in defense.
Yeah.
So I think what we saw in Colorado is that we knew that they played 3 days ago against LAFC, so they were already tired. So that's what you saw, the like of Yarrow kind of push up almost all the way to midfield, because he had that freedom to be the extra player where Berkey did not have to do that work. As you saw during the game, right? Berkey was not all the way to halftime like he used to.
Yeah, Berkey didn't get any action that game defensively.
He
could have sat and read the St. Louis Post-Dispatch and done nothing, and we would have still gotten a point.
And that's game. I wanted to continue like that. I want him to be called upon just when he's asked. Not.
I hope he just is bored the entire season. I'm okay with that.
Yes.
So one thing that you touch base with the 3 on the bag and making it a 5 when we're defending, you can really see the work of Olaf in that. Like, it's amazing how every time there was a long ball and we were even like slightly off positioning, how all those 5 went back and recovered that position quick, cover the spaces. There was only one play that Kessler had to slide tackle out of bounds because there was a counter and it was just like the last man. That was the only time that I saw the back line on the 5 being out of position that could have struggled on that end. The rest, there was always 2 or 3 on the back. No balls were behind them. So that's a huge difference of what last year was. Last year, every ball that it was long for a counterattack, for someone with speed, we were not making it there.
No. And I think that's a big thing we see differently. We can attribute that to the play style that Olaf has implemented. We contribute that to the more cardio-intensive workouts that City has implemented. And, Mo, you were talking about speed with Chris Durkin. When you look at Chris Durkin being the age that he is, Chris Durkin is currently 25 years old, born February 8th, 2000. And Alfredo Morales is 34. So if you're going to talk about longevity and stamina and the ability to take these runs, I think Chris Durkin, if you watch Chris Durkin play, he looks like Bullet Bill out there from those Mario Kart games. He looks like Simon Betcher almost when he plays at his highest level. He's going to run over people. He's going to body people like Joao Klaus did against Sporting Kansas City last year.
Yeah, the strength he has it. That's
and I think that's something that he edges out Alfredo over. We got Romo in the chat. Okay.
Yes. So quick question. So once you jump to that question here, so anything else you would like to cover regarding the Colorado game? Because it looks like it almost made it boring as time. It was just for our team to unlock the team.
Well, we can cover the man of the match after this question.
Okay. So that will cover yours. All right. So yeah. So
let me say one thing. I do want to mention one thing of the game. So like I know we're saying that City performed very well. We should have won this game, and the numbers and the stats and all that. But me rewatching the game yesterday, I realized one thing is that the good positioning and the work rate that they were putting on good positioning defensively and making sure that nothing goes behind lead to very slow developing on our playing. There was very slow of coming out of the bag. There were sometimes like Lewin kept the ball for more than 5, 7, 10 seconds, and that just created a slow pace. Colorado always being in position, struggled to create spaces. So I'm sure they're gonna work on that, like because I know Olive likes to be explosive. That's what he mentions all the time, that he wants to be explosive in attack. But we didn't see that.
Yeah,
I saw it from Simon. That's the only player I saw it from that night. Definitely didn't see it from Klaus or
Simon
other
is a
guys.
different beast. If we have
Yeah.
to give him credits, is that I think we all saw the videos and the pictures of him, masking the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
So yes, so he definitely have shown that. I like that he got that dog in him, like we call it,
Yeah.
right? He's playing with that. I don't give a attitude for 90 minutes when he's playing. So he's definitely that guy.
I mean, there was no lack of effort. Like that's not what I mean when I say like it was a slow developing. Like the effort was there. It's just more of that. Like I mean, obviously Samuel Becher, you can see that he's gonna give his everything and he's gonna run until they tell him you need to get out. But the developing of the plays were very slow, and I think there was lacking of connection between Lewin, Hartel. Maybe Hartel missing Teucher because I know they're great together. So like that's one of the pieces that was like very slow in the coming back, not creating spaces.
Yeah,
we just got caught with Colorado's play because
the question was, what do you think of our chances on beating San Diego Football Club or SDFC next week on Saturday? Mo, what do you think?
Well, there's a chance because it's soccer. So once you cross the white line, it is. So I think they looked very good, but I also still have that question mark that LA Galaxy was also missing, 3 or 4 or 5 of their most, prolific players.
Yeah,
Puig either they sold them or Puig was out, Penty was out. So there's that the maestro of the LA Galaxy midfield was not there. So that's something they still have to work on. And Pin still is injured. So there was that gap from LA Galaxy. And it just happened that San Diego is the first game they have to prove. And I forgot the guy's name that scored the 2 goals is that
Dreyer.
I'm extremely impressed because the second goal that you saw, he's the one that created the chance first. And he knew they were already winning. Most players would have just walked, right? Because you already did the great
70
pass.
yards out.
Yes, he was still sprinting all the way to the box and have an open shot. So it looks like our defense will have to pull another performance of Saturday. But also at the same time is that our team we have our roster versus LA Galaxy were depleted of 30 plus goals. So
I mean,
chances, I feel good about it, but it is still football, so
we shall see.
And it's the MLS.
Like most things, only time will tell. I mean, when we look at the way that San Diego won this game, their first goal being off a set piece, and their second being off of that deep ball rush. We just talked about the lack of fouls that City committed. Defensively, they were almost perfect. That's what we said. 2 goals. There are 2 shots on goal, or 2 shots, none of them on goal for Colorado, and the lack of fouls in our own half because they barely had possession in City's half, in City's final third especially. So when we look at the ability to kind of get these set piece opportunities, I don't see San Diego having the chances that they had against LA because of the depleted roster, like you said, and some of the younger guys that make more mistakes. And I think on the long ball at the end in extra time, like we also said, this Olaf Melberg defensive strategy has really prevented that long ball and kind of teaching our players to drop back in that as wingers in that situation to swarm on the ball and stop a situation there. because that's just the way Melberg wants to coach, and it worked out in the first game. I don't see it changing in the second. The way that San Diego went about their business was good against LA, but I don't see LA's defense being nearly as sound as City's. Give me 2-1 final. City SC wins.
Yeah, and just one last thing is that also if you see LA Galaxy's defense is a little bit older as well. So
Yeah.
speed-wise, they got exposed very quickly. And you saw how, first goal, it was a mistake, a slip, a bad pass for the goalkeeper. As you guys probably remember, first season of City, you get your gift early in the season.
You get those gifts. Yeah.
Yeah.
You get those gifts at the beginning. And then, and to complement, obviously, the counter, it was LA Galaxy played everybody on the box. There was only two or one just behind it. So obviously it was trying to get the tie, and it's part of the game when you're winning and it's the last minute. So it was not an overwhelming as San Diego win. Like everybody kind of like starting to say it. I think it was a great game for them, structure-wise, positioning-wise. So it's not going to be easy, but the ones that they want to win in their home opener are them. So they're going to be the ones exposing themselves to create opportunities, and that's where the style of City of being fast and counterattack and being explosive could play off. So I think there's a big chance that City can take the game. So I would say, I was gonna say the same to Charlie, but just to be different, let's put it on 1-0 instead of a 2-1. I think if I want Burkett to get another shutout, so I think we'll do that.
A clean sheet, we'll see.
Yeah, and then I just saw a comment from I think it was Lucida Morales from Argentina. Yes. She was saying that she couldn't understand. So gracias, Lucita, por estar en la grabación. Lo siento mucho, no entiendes. Es una grabación en inglés, pero gracias por vernos.
Look at that. That's why we have everybody in here. We can cover French, we can cover Spanish, English, and whoever
I only know one language. I feel inferior now.
No, it's the world sport. That's the reason.
That's right,
so maybe what we'll do is I might have to come up with maybe add captions and all, because hey, we are international, so we'll make it happen.
Yeah. So before the question was asked originally about San Diego, we were going to wrap up the idea of the game on Saturday versus Colorado with the man of the match, voted by us three. Me, Mo, and Oscar unanimously picked this person. All right, let me just say his stats before I say his name. Okay, a 7.8 FOP mob rating. I'll tell you this, he's on the defensive side because the defense was stellar. Okay, he completed the most passes with 63 in the match, and he was the most accurate passer with 94% to play 45 minutes or more. Okay, here are some of his decent stats. He had 9 defensive actions, 6 recoveries, 4 headed clearances, 7 clearances in total, 1 last man tackle, 1 block, 100% tackle percentage, and a 67% duel percentage won. Our player of the game and man of the match was Henry Kessler, King Kess, the man, the myth, the legend. He was offsides on the goal that was called back. We're going to ignore that for now. He played amazing on the defensive side. Probably the reason for that last man tackle. Probably the reason this game was as close as it was. Him and his defensive unit being as good as they were is definitely encouraging for the rest of the season.
All right, yeah. Hey, what better way to celebrate players when we say it's defense? They usually don't get all the credits that is due. So no one scored, so it makes it a little easier for us.
Yeah.
And now I'll tell you, I already mentioned the big play that he took on the slide tackle in the first half, where it was the only time that we were not settled correctly, and he had speed. He had a great positioning on tracking back. He didn't follow the player. He followed where he was going to be, and with the tackle out, he did great. That actually should be a foul after he won the ball. He basically got tackled by the forward of Colorado, but they call it corner. And then if you add to that, obviously he participated on the disallowed goal by half of a step that he
Toucher.
was on offside, but he participated. He did a good play there, even when it was an offside. He definitely
Yeah,
play well there.
Leuven plays it off the woodwork at the left post, goes right to Kessler. He passes it into Betcher. It's disallowed, but a great play nonetheless.
Yeah, I still hate that call. Because like, what you have the post. The post did not really work for you. He's not a player, but I guess rules are the rules. But
Rules are the rules.
yeah, that kind of sucked. Right, the ball comes at your feet. What are you supposed to do? Just let it go?
Yeah.
So I didn't, and a little bit of that was the pre-run from Kessler. Obviously, they were making a false wall.
Yep.
And tried to blind Stefan out of position there, and he's moving. The defense was disciplined to stay on the line where they needed to be. If one of them just makes a little step back just early enough, then he's onside. So it was kind of like a little bit of timing on that, but he did what he needed to do. So it's unfortunate, but it would be the best feeling in that moment. But
yes,
we got a couple
he knows where
questions
the
I think
net
on the
is, so.
chat.
He knows where the net is, which definitely helps. Yes, it looks like Daniel has another. So it's if we get a shout out again, do you become worried about the offense?
I don't become worried about the offense. I become worried about one player if he doesn't perform in the next couple games, and that player is Joao Klaus. He's looked more and more like he is not the player he was 2 seasons ago or even last season. Okay, crazy statistic here. It has been 289 days since Joao Klaus last scored his last goal against Chicago Fire on May 11th, 2024. That's 6,936 hours since Joao Klaus has netted one for St. Louis City SC. He's supposed to be the striker. We have a chant named after him, for God's sake. I mean, he has not been performing the way that the club has wanted him to. He's showing his age with his speed. I haven't seen him outrun a defender in a long time. The ability for him to be at a high level is honestly worrying right now. I'm rooting for the guy. I love Shaw. Shaw's a nice guy. I've talked to him before. He's got one of the most contagious smiles on the club. Always lights up a room when he comes in there. But I don't know if he can keep up with the modern defenses of the MLS anymore. He has not shown that he is a top-tier player and deserves to be starting day in and day out.
Can I go, Mo?
Well, I don't have much. I think we do all have a valid concerns because, especially knowing all of the strikers that are in other teams, they are producing. Even those that just came in has produced. So I think one thing that I saw the old Klaus that even I think Charlie you were playing on X was when he bodied the KC player. He did that on Saturday, so I guess that was one check that I was, hey, the real Klaus. One, is he going to run back in midfield to get the ball? That's check 1. 2, did he body anyone? So that was for 2 for me. And the last one, I was waiting for that goal. If he would have scored, I pretty much would have said, he's back. But unfortunately, the most important one that we were missing is the goal. So it looks like the player is there. The past interview, we heard that he kind of came back to, back to basic. But now our back to basics that we know the Klaus is scoring goals.
Yeah.
So that's the one I'm still where it's a valid concern.
Yeah. So and to keep up with what Daniel asked, I don't think we should be concerned. These 3 first games are gonna be very tough. They're good teams. San Diego showed that they can defend well and organize. So I wouldn't take that much into consideration. But if we create chances, like we did to Colorado, like we did create some offensive game, even if it was slow, like I said, we still created some chances. We just have to have a better finisher. That's the biggest concern. Not the offense itself. It's more the person that needs to do it. Klaus, I don't know. So there's one play that it bugs me is the one that he tried to back heel flick that ball because it's something as like you haven't scored a goal in so long. You don't flick that ball. You try to smash it.
Yeah.
You gotta get that.
You gotta get your anger out somehow, and you gotta smash that ball, go 80 miles per hour right into the keeper.
And like it's a resource, but at the same time, at that moment, he should be hungry to score that you have to smash that ball. You cannot just be in a position that you just gotta back heel flick. So I didn't like that. And the other two shots that he took, they were weak, like very weak. Like he's not convinced that he can score goals. So that's concerning.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially for a striker.
So Romo said, so first Daniel said San Diego has higher quality players than us up top. Klaus only had 34 touches, which is the worst for any player who played 90 minutes. I mean, I couldn't agree more. And then Romo said, City SC needs to spend more money on other players. I think that's a fair assumption when you see other teams spending money. Like, for example, San Jose getting the superstar that they got in, I think, Lucho Acosta, right? They got Lacosta. And then FC Dallas got Chucho Arango. I mean, these are top-end scorers that these teams are getting from the MLS and even from other countries. When you see, LA's LA Galaxy getting Puig a couple of years back as a high-end scorer. I mean, if you look internally, I'd rather have a guy like Makai Joyner or Caden Glover day in and day out than a designated player from Europe that may not fit into our system as well. When you have these homegrown players that have this much skill, like Caden Glover and like Makai Joyner, there's a lot of things you can do, but I think one of them you can't do is neglect their talent and let them rot away at City 2 for a long time. And you can't fall into that kind of cycle of just letting these homegrown players and this cesspool of skill go to waste when you have these many good players at City 2.
Yeah, and I think that and I understand that a lot of people, come and says, City has to spend money, or we also have to think about, how a lot of these teams are structured. So, for example, the name you just named, LA Galaxy. So when a player comes or LA Galaxy goes to a player, they just don't have the MLS title that they use to attract those type of players, right? So Ricky Puig, you would not see him go into a Midwest city.
No.
He's from Spain. He never heard of St. Louis
The
until
Midwest.
you tell him, right? Royce knows because Berkey told him about it. So, and even trying the San Diego piece, we have to also remember that Monsoon, he's a billionaire that has built money and connections across the world. He has the Dream Academy. He has other teams that he kind of built around that. $5 million for him is chump change. And so he has already those, that knowledge of football business to be able to do it.
And I think that's gonna play a big difference on that in that perspective, because you can compare Caroline to San Diego's owner and what you just mentioned. Like, he has connections, he's known about around the world about soccer or football, and Caroline is not. So
and plus,
Caroline is depending a lot on Lutz.
Yes.
Caroline depends a lot of like what Lutz decides and things. And what Romo is kind of trying to say, I completely agree. We have to spend no matter who it is.
Right.
But we got to spend a little bit. Like we have been 3 years on the making where we have gone away with just bringing a little bit of pieces that they work hard and everything. But it's time to get one. It's time to get one that you say, okay, that's going to be my really designated player that he needs to show up. Because let's face, Klaus is not showing a DP performance now for 200 days. That's not what you want. And we as my group of friends and fans, like we wish to have more Latino power, and you can find those players that you don't have to spend 12 million on a player. You just go to a corner in Argentina and you'll watch a game and you will find someone that is gonna come and score more goals than Klaus for the same amount of money.
Yeah, we might have to
Yeah.
send Oscar as a scout.
And then
But
to disagree with well, Sammy, if you can pay me a salary for that, I'll gladly go do it. No, and I'm gonna disagree with Charlie a little bit on the homegrowns. I know people like the homegrowns to be successful, and I don't say the opposite. So like obviously you want them to be successful, but at this point of our seasons and the amount of years that we have now, we cannot be dependent on just homegrowns to come and say, "Oh, this guy is great and he's gonna score all the goals." Like, yes, homegrowns are good to develop and to help here and there, but we cannot just depend on that. And if we want to be a fan base, then this is what's gonna be type of like my hot topic today was that our fans cannot be fans of, oh, it's okay if we win, it's okay if we tie, it's okay we play okay as long as we don't lose and we're not bottom. No, I think this fan base deserves better, but at the same time we have to start pushing that way. We have to make sure that the team and the franchise knows we're here to win championships. We're here not just to win one game and tie another one. We're here to want to win. I want trophies. I don't like to follow teams just to not win. I had enough of those already.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, to what you're saying, I agree. I mean, you can't go off. You can't just put City 2 out there and expect them to win. But a guy you could spend money on, I'm sorry, he's not Latin, but Josh Sargent. There's been some rumblings that that St. Louis kid himself, Sargent, could be coming over from the EPL. Maybe. You never know. You never say never.
They had $22 million. That's why they asked Cincinnati for him.
Hey, dip in the pockets a little bit. You've been cheap with you got a little bit of GAM money. No, I'm joking.
We haven't spent $2 million on a player. We're gonna spend 22 out of
we haven't touched that money.
If you want to win now, that's who you go get.
Yeah, to be honest, even though he has the St. Louis tie, I don't think he's the solution.
I'll tell you this. I'm not saying throw Mekhi Jonah out there and say everything's fixed, but throw Mekhi Jonah and a guy like Josh Sargent out there, then yes, everything is fixed. Throw a guy like Mekhi Jonah and Simon Betcher out there, then yeah, it's fixed. Give Simon Betcher a contract, buy him off his loan. Don't let him go back in the summer. I mean, this kid is electric. I want him on City. I want him in City Red for a long time. I don't want to see him go back to Europe to go continue playing. I mean, a guy like Simon Betcher, he needs to be in a City Red uniform for a long time, and I'm excited to see if they make that happen. Fingers crossed. But I mean, if you can
it's the first time I disagree with Charlie on.
You don't want Simon long term?
Oh, Simon, 110%. But I just don't think it's that combination just yet. That will
Mekhi Jonah and Simon Betcher. You don't think so?
Yes. So they have the confidence, they have the skill to do it. But what I'm thinking probably is that what I like to see on the teams that I support or I still support is that like a mixture of like, we'll say street soccer, and then you have the structured soccer players to kind of combo during a game. So for example, if you have so many structured player, aka Manchester City, as you can tell, right? 4 years in a row they were so well structured. And then people start studying their play, and then before you know it, the student is beating the master.
Yeah.
So I think that's So we're hoping to see, a combination of those. But
yeah, I mean,
Sargent has to stay in. He has to play in the EPL first.
That's fair. Yes. I mean, in my opinion, a kid like Mekhi Jonah or Caden Glover, Mekhi Jonah being picked to go overseas to play for the U.S. men's national team under 17. last season. I mean, you're not just just some street soccer player to go do that. I think Mekhi Joyner is a guy that can take a team and win championships. I guarantee you, Mekhi Joyner is going to have a couple medals around his neck, a couple pieces of hardware in his trophy case. Come 20 years down the line, let's come back in 2045 and see where Mekhi Joyner's at. But I guarantee you, it's in great places.
Okay.
And I think
I'm hoping he
capitalize
gets
on that.
time. I'm
And
hoping
you
he
say
gets time.
exactly that.
Just not
In 20 years, we'll figure out. Do I want to wait 20 years for St. Louis City to pull up something? No.
I'm not saying it's going to be 20 years until Mekhi Joyner's good. I'm saying
No,
in 20 years, look back at Mekhi Joyner's career, and it's going to be very good. I'm saying you don't want to miss out on this kid right now because you're too focused on a designated player who hasn't scored in over almost 300 days.
Yeah.
I don't think
So, yes.
he's ready, in my opinion.
He's getting
That's
there.
fair.
He's
He's
getting
getting there.
But I think if picture what was Celia's first year, or even like the first CD2 Celio and then like the first year of MLS, I think Joyner is still in that CD2 of Celio. He was getting moved out of plays when he was facing a stronger defender. He was moving out of plays. He was not creating opportunities. He was trying to dribble around who couldn't. It's building that confidence, but that's the thing with right now, that if last year we had a good season and we were not in that mentality right now, like we had a terrible season, so we're not able to put Joyner to try to do something to develop his game. Right now we need success. Right now we need results.
And I think that's probably where they are now.
Yeah.
And that's why Klaus is. Oh, sorry. That's why Lutz is bringing those guys now. It's because St. Louis is a team that likes to win. So in all of their sports, and I think Jordan will get. He's practicing with the first team. He went to the preseason with the first team. He's getting that knowledge. That's why Miggy went away, because they say, dude, you got to bulk up. You have to do all of these things. So I think that's what the process is. I'm enjoying that they're protecting all of these homegrown guys, that you do not put them under the fire too early. Some of those 17-year-olds that you see are doing great now in like the first team all across the world. If you watch them, a lot of them have either gone on loan and play with like a first division somewhere, kind of get used to it and then come back with the team. So I'm enjoying seeing them get a mixture of CD2 with City.
Yeah.
And when called upon, when the pressure is a little bit less on City to win, because now they have to win.
So, I mean, honestly, yeah, I understand that for sure. And if you also look, City SC maybe they're going out to get these guys, right? City SC maybe making these moves. Lutz may be making these moves behind the scenes. We don't know. But the thing that I know Oscar's worried about, that I'm worried about, and I think some other people may be worried about once we bring this up, is that Indiana Vassilev, once he left, he was the third player in 3 years to request out of this club. I think there's a serious question in the mix to be able to say, is there a culture problem? Is there something going on behind the scenes? Was it something with Bradley Carnell? Was it something with John Hackworth? Was it something with the new coach? Was it something with Lutz? Was it something with the owners? I don't know, but we're now seeing problems from Blom. We're seeing problems from Adeniran. We're seeing problems from Vassilev. I mean, these maybe over playing time, they could be over petty things, but I honestly think that they could be over deeper issues that we're seeing within the club that haven't been, seen from fans' perspectives yet.
That is right up Oscar's alley. So, on my part, what I'm going to say, or from the things I know before, I think that will probably be part of your hot takes. I think part of it, the Vassilev, from what I understand, and I think the big picture that I see is that he went to a U.S. national camp, right? So that means, and Pochettino, right at this moment, he's building his 2026 roster. Vasiliev was probably not a guaranteed starter at City. When your national coach is watching, you need to be playing constantly. And you know that your former coach is ready to lead you to a brand new team that he's building, and you will most likely be a starter. I kind of see the point of him saying, "Hey, I need playing time because there's the World Cup and I have a shot." And so I think
Sure.
those are the kind of things that I see.
Yeah.
Bloom was also very homesick. Durham has, the Klaus situation, not playing when he was still playing better, but still was not getting opportunities. So I think it's the beautiful world of football where there's no season without drama, or if there is no drama in your season, there's something behind closed door that is not right.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. Yeah. So to my take, there's a lot of takes in this, and I don't think
Go
I
right
have
ahead.
that much time on this, but the indie problem, I think it played him against a little bit going to the national team to have a spot in City. It was like just bad timing. The camp for the U.S. national team was right before camp starting in City. Interrupted a little bit of that because he was late to report to City, obviously. So in that end, when you have a new coach coming into your club and you want to impress that coach, you want to be day one there running and showing that you won that spot. And unfortunately, he couldn't do it. He was behind it. He had already some other people ahead. Plus, this is where it's going to be very conflicting, or like, my hot topic basically is there's very much clear there's a preference on picking players for City. There's no doubt. And we mentioned it a little bit on why Celia didn't play, why Ostrak didn't play. Hey, who played? German. So there is this a little bit BS on, I see it, I think, that there's a little bit BS on how they picked the team. And if we look at it, it was very strong, the European players that they had dibs on playing or substitutions. And it has happened not just this game, but last year. Like there's preferences and picking someone else. And I think that's part of what are the players that have left because they feel that there's that rejection, or like I have to do a lot more than these guys because they are the good guys of the in the right hand of the coach or right hand of Lutz. Because obviously you gotta tell me that Lutz doesn't have a BS comparing like all the Germans and with the other guys. Obviously he relates with the Germans. That's why he's bringing them on. So that's one big thing on that. So the other is obviously players want to play more, and there's ways to ask and try to get your position in, but it has to be something run in management that every year we have lost one because of that. And that I've never seen another team like that comes one player each season saying, I want out, I don't want to be here. It can be just the culture. It cannot be just because we're St. Louis and we're the Midways and nobody wants to be here. Not true. Because we get it. The superstars might not want to be here, but none of the players we lost, they were superstars. They were growing into developing into good players, and they are developing into good players. So there has to be something inside doors that is being managed very wrong.
Yeah, Daniel's another one. Dure. Didn't work out.
I mean,
with
he
him.
was homesick. I mean, he
Yeah.
was definitely like he didn't want to be here.
No.
He definitely
I
since
think-
week one, I think he was like
Yeah.
already like, oh, I don't like to be here. I miss Denmark and so on and so on. So that was
I see what you're talking
very
about.
weird.
I mean, I think that's just some of the things of having Lutz as your GM. I mean, if you look at some other teams that maybe have GMs that have more, I mean, I think I'll put it this way. when you have branches that are closer to you to pick from, it's easier to go out and make. I would say if I'm going to restart because that's a confusing analogy. I'll say this: if you've known somebody since they were 13 in the German pro leagues, versus if you know someone from a scouting report in July of last year, then honestly, I think it's a no-brainer when Lutz looks at these players because of the relationship he has in German football. I mean, Lutz is a very well-known name around. If you go into German football spaces and say Lutz Pfannenstiel, I think a lot of people will say, yeah, I know that is. I mean, I think that's just part of Lutz being the guy for City, and I think that's a compromise you're going to have to make with him. I don't know. I feel like there could be a different side to it where you see a little bit of favoritism to his countrymen. But I mean, I think it's going to be a weird situation to work around, because how do you tell Lutz to sign less Germans? You know, you can't, it's like saying if you love ice cream, eat less ice cream. It's a little hard to manipulate that. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the part I'm still not sure how to look into it.
Yeah.
Like saying favoritism or others. Because I guess I've seen how some GM hire versus others. I don't know if it's more because we're, so for example, say we're saying Lucy's getting Germans, right? But that's why a lot of the GMs that are within leagues are all the same people being picked within the league to go in different teams, is because they know the systems. So that's why they're picking there. So let's say LA Galaxy, right? Their GM was, I believe, with LAFC, but then he switched to LA Galaxy, and some of the players that he wanted before now are with LA Galaxy. So, right? And so you start to see a lot of the GMs that knows the league where they are just being cycle. The coaches that know the league are being cycle, so they pick their players. San Jose, you saw how he went and picked three of the best players in MLS history for San Jose. Why? Because he knows the league and he knows who he wants to win now. So I'm wondering, it's like different Rolodex. It's maybe that's why you see a lot of German influence. But we also see that in St. Louis, the character of where those players are from can relate to St. Louis, you know, culture, small town Germany, hard workers. Those are kind of the fabric of their identity. So, hey, I would love to see more African players. I have a Rolodeck of players too that I can tell you could dribble through 5-10 people. But the question is, would they make, the characteristic that City is looking for?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest issue with just my biggest issue with Lutz and how he just focuses right now on that area of the world is that doesn't make you great at your job. Like,
Yeah.
if you're just closing your market on this circle, like, I know I'm biased because I want a Latino in the club, and I want one that is gonna be the star and everything. I get it, but you say the same thing. Like, you want Africans. I'm okay with you bring an African player. Like, there's you see Minnesota, you see Charlotte. You like, they're exploring different markets, and that's what a good GM with their team of scouts do. Not just two leagues, not Bundesliga 2, and maybe Bundesliga 1 and you're lucky, and the Danish or the Norway, or like, you have to explore more markets. Um, I had one time a conversation with a main scout that he was working with, actually San Jose, and now he's in Fortaleza in Brazil. And he basically told me, I mean, I have to go around the world and not be picky of where I go. I'm Brazilian, but I try to not go to Brazil because I know what I can get from there. I want to find something different. Um, and that's why, like, I think San Diego did pretty good of a mix. Like, he went and got Chucky, but then he also got Dryer, and they had a right wing or a right mid that I'm assuming he's from Europe. I don't remember his last name right now, but
Yeah.
he has a last name, but I would say is European. So you have to have a mix. Good teams have a mix, not building the U17 German national team from 7 years ago or
Sounds like you
5 years
saw
ago.
the news, didn't you?
Huh?
Yeah, it sounds like you saw the news because I think that there will be one that I think reunite the U21 or something like that from the German team. But um, I'm just interested to see if our footprint as we get closer, more history. Because there's like a different structure. San Diego came because they have their structure already put together. So I'm wondering if it's for us, is it St. Louis being more out there so that maybe more agent, you know, say, hey, I have this player, you should look into them, or so that's the part where I'm still struggling to figure out is that where it is how we getting our players. Is it just because of GM selections, or is it because the options that we have are not there yet? Hughes just pretty much told his wife said no. I'm not going to, there. I want to be in LA. Right. We all know if you have a wife, she tells you that
Yeah.
that's not going to happen.
You're not going. Sorry.
Yes. So I think for me, I'm still interesting to see how we built that team. But let's not get misconstrued. If you look at the teams now in the rest of the MLS, they are going in those very same Denmark, Sweden to get their own players. Maybe not 5, 6 of them,
But not to run your
yeah,
team,
yes,
to be
but
a
they are.
piece.
So I'm interesting to see the footprint, the blueprint from Cincinnati, Charlotte are starting to show that, you know, like I always say, I like to see the United Nation in my soccer team because the United Nation will show you that it brings different style of playing of players, and that usually built success. But coming out of this, the building of a team and having the under 17 German national team, what if you had, for example, $2 million for a certain player? What would be the characteristic of that player that you would like to see added to City?
Give me a dribbler. Give me a fast dribbling striker.
So up top, so we're talking for Klaus and others, not Celio on the flanks. You mean
No,
a 9?
Celio type player
Okay.
that can find his way into positions that Klaus can with just a little more speed.
Okay, so you're depicting Saha from Charlotte, pretty much.
Yes.
Okay, and Paint still in ours. All right, so
Yeah.
Oscar, for you.
I think I have two types, and one will be a fast goal scorer player, Saha, or the one that went to the other team and
Oh,
that that left LA Galaxy.
yeah.
I believe Javelic is
Yep.
correct.
Yes.
Someone who can score, who can actually intimidate a defense. If you leave him space, he's gonna get behind you and score. That's one. And two, because of this style that I like, obviously, and I admire, is the type of my beloved James Rodriguez.
Okay.
A playmaking player, outstanding technique, and someone can put an assist out of nowhere.
Mhm.
That they can make an amazing pass, long ball or short ball, but through the lines and get the forwards 1-on-1. And I think, yes, Hartel is that type of player in some way, but it still doesn't have that full mentality of like, I'm gonna make this crazy pass that is gonna get everybody facing the other way.
Yeah, I get you.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, this team needs, this team has the pieces. I like to say they have the dots, they just haven't connected them. They have the pieces, they have the ability to have these. They have the players to make these chances. Simon Betcher again played amazing on Saturday night. Didn't net a goal, sadly, but this is one of those things. I'm going to take a page out of Bradley Carnell's book. The goals will come. All right, because this squad is resilient. This squad is on paper, and again, on paper is tough to measure when you have the biggest factor in the world being the human factor. But I mean, I think this squad is versatile. I think the squad can play. I think if needed, Klaus can play where Henry Kessler plays, and if needed, Henry Kessler can play where Klaus plays. Okay, I think these guys, not very well. I didn't say well. I think they can, if they needs to. If for some reason Klaus is back where Berkey is, having a chat, drinking some tea or something, and Kessler is up with Simon Betcher just dilly-dallying and frolicking in the final third, then I think it'll work out. I mean, this team is able to win, and as fans, I think we have to, as fans and as people that cover it, we have to be optimistic to a certain extent to be able to put our faith in the guys that are going onto the pitch weekly and actually providing the thing that we love to watch, as in City SC, St. Louis soccer.
Yeah, I think I concur with that. Like, I'm not going to say I'm not going to follow my team. I'm not going to support him. I'm going to criticize him. No, obviously, I'm going to follow them. I'm going to be there in the first row every game and lose my voice every game for them. But at the same time, if they don't perform, if there's players that they're not doing what they're supposed to, I'm going to be a critic, especially on this channel. I'm going to be an open critic and say what I really think. I know it's not easy to be a soccer player. I know we can say and see everything from outside and say like, oh, we should have done this and that. I get it, but I'm not getting paid thousands of dollars, and I'm not getting paid millions of dollars to do that. So I'm in some point I'm allowed to say like, well, you gotta do better.
Yeah, and it's all fair. I mean, I guess it comes with the territory. And you have to always take it for the good and the bad. So pretty much we went to the experience, the game predictions. So I think you all had your game predictions. For me, I think it's probably going to be a 3-2 win for City, because I think San Diego, it's their home opener. They're feeling extremely happy about beating the champs. But I believe that we have almost like the counter that LA Galaxy did not have. We have it. And I believe the goals will come, like my good friend Charlie said. So so that pretty much wraps up our part of the CD conversation. So we're also part of St. Louis and the Missouri part of soccer. And I will not feel well if I don't mention that we do have our high school Champions League tournament that is starting also. This time is the girls that are starting their Champions League, and it started on, I believe, March 29th. So on this
On my
part
birthday.
here, I'm sorry?
On my birthday.
Yeah.
Look at that.
And I'll say this real quick. The San Diego game is on my birthday.
Look at that. So they better
March
win
1st.
then. No pressure, City. They
Yeah.
have to win. Is that it, Charlie?
Yeah, no pressure.
And
we gotta hope.
And have the right protection too. So that the trifecta. I think he agrees with it. All right, so yeah. So Charlie, with you as we're going to go and close out. So anything that you're working on now at this moment, any projects, anything? I know on X you're doing some weekly Q&A. Just let the good people how they can get a hold of you and follow your work.
Yeah, so right now I'm doing weekly Q&As, trying to keep up, trying to grow the community a little bit. Anything I can do to help the community of St. Louis soccer, I try to do. You can find me on X. It's my last name to my first name, so it'll be Bill U and then Charlie. Or you can look up CB on X. That's my main place of posting. I'm trying to transition more to Blue Sky, post more on there, try to make it more 50-50. But yeah, I mean, no huge plans I can tell you guys about right now. There is some stuff in the works with the podcast that we're doing right here with some crazy guests and stuff like that. Nothing we can tell you all right now, but I guarantee you some great stuff coming up from not only me, but these two guys sitting on this call with me right now, talking soccer.
Our good friend Oscar, we know you have stuff planned.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be participating on the parade for Mardi Gras this coming Saturday. So we'll be walking with all the group of supporters. We will have a float, so we'll be over there. So you'll hear our chants going around the parade. We did it last year. It was a fun time, so we're repeating this year. And I'm excited to watch the game that Saturday night if I still have energy after all that.
You will.
And then now just continue developing our group as supporters and helping the community and helping our need communities that are around, that all the groups do an excellent job doing that. So we like to grow that. But nothing more, not more special than that right now.
All right,
Yeah.
awesome. So yeah. And for me, I will be live streaming the San Diego game. So hopefully, if you guys are available, let's hop on up and talk about it. And the usual suspect, podcasts, interviews. So, but our goal as well is probably what you guys saw last game, Charlie and I, and if we can catch Oscar when he's running all over city, downtown St. Louis. More Q&As. Maybe we'll meet some of you fans where you are partying at and get some of your prediction and others. So we'll make it a little bit more interactive as well. So the more fun, the better. And last thing, I believe my two colleagues here will assess that. Go ahead and let us know if you would like to come on the show, join the fun and the talk. Reach out to us in our social and, we'll make it happen. The more, the merrier. And we're all St. Louis fans. And the goal is to just enjoy football.
Yep.
All
yeah,
right,
definitely. Everybody invited to our podcast, and like the ones that we had today commenting and asking questions. Like, we appreciate you guys for watching and joining, and let's hope that we get more and more after we getting our name out there. I know it's a work in progress that we're building up, and we appreciate it.
Yeah,
Awesome.
It's all fun. And hopefully next time we're on this live stream, it will be to celebrate a win.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So you up. Have a blessed night. Stay dry, stay warm, and we'll see you soon.
See ya. Have a good one, y'all.